Are you ready? This is going to be a thrilling adventure. Oddly enough, it was the prominent display of the bar's name on a lighter in the corner that caught his attention. Sure enough, after a whole night of surreptitious lurking, he ultimately succeeded in capturing one of the lips. He dragged the guy to the wilderness, determined to pry the missing secrets from his lips, even though he couldn't fathom why the old man was pulling this stunt. But merely contemplating knocking him off completely extinguished any hope he had of returning harm. Then a mysterious news report disrupted his plans. The Korean woman was dismembered by the fishmonger he knew. Hearing this, Jernan had a sinking feeling. Without hesitation, he dialed the police to confirm if the victim was his wife. But they refused to share information due to confidentiality, leaving him frustrated. His fugitive status prevented him from confirming in person, so he reluctantly chose to go home instead. Little did he know what was coming. The lips he contacted were still plotting against him. After paying for his return, he found himself at the shipping container. It was only when he saw a box labeled Tokyo that he realized something was wrong. He pushed against the door with all his might, pulled out his knife, and stabbed at the goons, relying on sheer survival instinct to finally push the iron door open. On their turf, he dared not linger and took off running. But just when he thought he was safe, another group of people appeared ahead. It was only when he caught sight of Old Mind's familiar face amidst the crowd that Jernan's heart tightened, a foreboding sense of doom creeping in. This was bad. Without thinking, he bolted the other way. Clearly these guys were after him. Jernan leaped down, while the crew on the boat rushed to grab him. Old Mine raised his axe, holding his breath as he threw it. However, Old Mine miscalculated his aim, and the axe almost flew astray. It was truly thrilling. Seeing his gang flee backward, Old Mine had no choice but to jump into the water after him. Jernan swam for shore, while Old Mine ran like crazy. Keep running forward, just running forward without stopping. He was nearly exhausted to the point of collapsing, while Old Mine was relentlessly persistent. Running forwards without cessation, Jernan desperately strives to maintain his speed. Keep on pursuing relentlessly, never stopping. This chase seemed never-ending and breathtaking. Relentlessly pushing ahead, all trivial matters seemed insignificant, as Jernan, determined and fearless, had already dispatched heavy troops to confront Old Mine with all his might. However, he didn't expect that this action would set a countdown timer on his own life, leading to unexpected consequences. When their main force drew near, Old Mine was already fully prepared and on high alert. With a loud bang, the door was smashed open, and the hunting moment for Old Mine officially began. In Old Mine's eyes, these little lackeys were as fragile as paper tigers, absolutely no match for him, a scenario that President Jin could never have fathomed, even in his wildest dreams. What's more, with the powerful help from Nugu, President Jin was caught completely off guard. As he was dreaming of wrapping everything up tonight, Old Mine had already hobbled his way in. Moments later, only 3 of them remained, and Old Mine pretended to be innocent, demanding 50 million. He even planned to take the other guy home to get the money, but when President Jin said one too many words, Old Mine didn't hesitate to unleash a blow. Looking at the cold-blooded Old Mine, President Jin realized he was definitely a goner. Taking advantage of the moment, he tried to escape, but Old Mine was not one to let him go easily. In front of the newly arrived pursuer, he was like fish on a cutting board, helpless and at the mercy of the situation. When Jernan finally arrived at the scene, Old Mine had unfortunately already taken his very last breath. He approached President Jin, who was barely alive, and he kept repeating, "You shouldn't have slept with my woman." It was only then that Jernan realized President Jin's true motive for killing the professor. But at this point, for Jernan, none of this mattered anymore, and nothing could be salvaged. All he wanted now was to take his wife's ashes home, so he rushed to the dock to get the boat moving. However, he was taken aback when the professor's wife appeared, revealing the whole truth. It turned out that President Jin killed the professor for his mistress, and the professor's wife had conspired with the mistress to kill her own husband. The harsh reality caused Jernan to completely abandon any thoughts of continuing his pursuit. Now, all Jernan wanted was to bring his wife's ashes back home to fulfill her last wishes. He approached the dock, brandished his knife and forced the boatman to set sail, only for the boat to head into the deep sea. Are you eager to know what happens next in the storyline? Aren't you curious? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you again in the next episode.